Welcome to Mercy's Designs. My name is Mercy and I sell Stampin' Up! Products. In today's tutorial, I would like to show you how I made this beautiful card using rare blessings and the heirloom frames and dies, embossing folders. So it's a brand new thing where you have both die cutting and embossing. So I will start with that, and I wanted to talk about a few things, which is on my previous video, I talked about how I use a Sharpie to trace here, and this makes it easier when you're lining it up. So I just bring it in here. Actually, I want it this direction, and then I flip it forward. And then we run it through the big shot. And I've kind of made my own shims here because this is a slightly different thickness than the other previous dynamic folders. These 3D are different. They do have a new shim, which I ordered, but I haven't gotten it yet, but I should be getting it soon. And it's really quite pretty. Okay, so I am looking forward to definitely getting that new shim. It will make this process a lot easier. Okay, so here is my die cut and then embossed, and it's just gorgeous. But because it's black, I feel like it can kind of get lost a little. So I had this one idea, which is, I would suggest using your embossing buddy, but I forgot to bring it over. Tap on some clear, your Versamark, and then I'm just going to tap some more. Get your clear embossing powder to add some shine. So you just want to spread this around like so. And I will put this back in, so I'm not going to waste any. But you want a nice coat, and this is kind of what it looks like when it's coated. But then when it's done, of course, it has this gorgeous shiny look. And I won't run my heat tool, but this is how it looks when it's done. All right, so we'll do a little stamping now. I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus, and I realize my big shot is kind of in the way here, but we'll make this work. And what I'm doing is I'm bringing in my Tuxedo black ink. I'll just show this, inking it up, because you do not have a lot of ink on it. You do not want a lot of ink on it because this is a distinctive stamp. So when I stamp it, you're not going to see, you're going to see just how gorgeous and detailed this image really is. So love it. If you haven't tried the distinctive stamps, you really need to. They're fantastic. So one of the techniques that also I'm going to be doing is cutting partially the image. And what you want to do is, I want to have this part of this flower cut out. So what I'm going to do is just keep cutting around, and this will overlap on the frame. But of course, I do not want to take all the time to do that. This side is slightly trickier because you can't see what you're doing so much unless you're ambidextrous and can do this. But it isn't as much cutting for this part. So not as bad. And what you want to do is cut all the way to here. And of course, I've already done that. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about were the blends that I used here. I used the Rococo Rose here. This is a brand new blend. And for the centers, I used the dark Pineapple Punch. And I also used the Granny Apple Green. So my result, I think, is really quite pretty. And here we have it, this beautiful orchid. So for this card, instead of using the terracotta tile like my original, I chose to use the crumb cake and then lightly sponge with my sponge and some ink, the crumb cake ink, tone on tone. I sponge some on here. So my result is this, and of course this was what I used as part of my matting. And that you really have to have pretty much a full 1/4 of a card sheet to get the oval. So this is a fantastic way of utilizing every piece and not wasting anything. All right, so I want to frame this, and what I like to do is to see kind of where I need to cut off. So I'm just going to kind of guess and undercut here. And this part I'm just going to lop off. I really don't need any of that. And again, I'm undercutting, so I'm going over and just kind of guessing. So that is what it'll look like. The next thing I want to do is stamp part of my sentiment here. So I'm going to bring in my stamp, which this one I chose, it is your day, this day is yours, sorry. And that would be perfect, of course, for a birthday greeting, I think. So there we have that, and I'm gonna bring in my Rococo Rose. I'm just masking off yours because I already went ahead and embossed yours. So I'll just set this aside, and I'm now going to do the trickiest part of the whole card, which isn't too bad, and that is stamp this day. So there we go. Unfortunately, I got a tiny bit here, but because I can adjust it, it won't be a problem, which is another reason to attach everything after you've done that stamping. So because I have that little boo-boo, I'm going to have to cut a slight bit more here. This is just, there we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere this, bringing in my Tombow glue. Well, actually, I do need to take off my dimensionals, so this is a little trickier than I was anticipating. So I'm going to just slip off the backs of my dimensionals here and hopefully not push down too hard. That way, if I need to adjust, then I can. Okay, almost got this. I'm just going to lop this off because that's really not helping anything. It's not necessary. So here we go. And if I want to adjust it, which I kind of would like to, I need to lift gently, ever so gently. Ooh, these dimensionals really stuck pretty well. Okay. All right, so that's not too bad. I'll just be happy with it. And then I want to center this, of course, on my matting. And there we have. There we have it. I think it's really pretty. There, I think that's a little better. And we will bring in our base. And then, of course, I want to add yours. So I'm not sure how that little dimensional got on there. Just want to make sure I get this adhered well. I think this is just a really beautiful set with the orchids. I love orchids. I love flowers in general. So this one's right up my alley. I decided I had to have this one. There were so many beautiful ones, and there are so many beautiful ones in this catalog. So I'm just going to put this here, and now that is my beautiful card. I'm going to bring back in the original. And if you need any help with ordering anything, please use my hostess code. If you enjoyed watching this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I would definitely appreciate that. So two very different cards in many respects with the color differences. I have Rococo Rose, and then of course the basic black and the Crumb Cake. And then for this one, it's the Granny Apple Green for the frame and the matting. And then the brand new terracotta tile here. So I love them both, actually. Please leave a comment below and tell me which one you prefer. And thanks again for watching, and happy stamping.